female entrepreneurs turned besties share on life, business, and the journey through the mess. Join their community with every new episode for connection, education, a few laughs, and the hype energy like a bathroom full of drunk girls at a bar. It's okay.
We're your friends now!
Hey guys, it's Biz.
Hey, it's Katie.
And it's Ashleigh. Welcome to another episode of We're Your Friends Now. Today we are talking about kind of a hard topic, I think, to be very vulnerable with, is the idea of opportunities that maybe don't come to fruition. Sometimes they're opportunities that you were seeking out and then they didn't even actually come into existence. Or sometimes there are opportunities that were working out and then no longer work. Like you've outgrown that opportunity. It's like kind of like that feeling of like when you hit your goal and you look up and you're like, okay, I worked so hard to get to here. What do I do now? And there's so many examples of this throughout all of our careers and personal lives. We've all had a few different capacities. Like, for example, Katie, you started, for people who don't know, you started in the real estate world working more as like a growth director for a team, not as like just, here's your real estate license, go sell real estate, right?
I started as a solo agent.
You started as I always thought your first one was with that team in Dallas as their director of growth.
I started as a solo agent and then I joined a team as a buyer's agent. I sold real estate for a few years.
Oh, okay. And then you took the opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
And was the title director of growth?
So, as I do in my life, we just kind of made up a name. So my rainmaker came to me one day and was like, hey, our listing system is like, it needs help. And she was like, can you come in, break it, fix it, rebuild it? And so I was director of listing operations, and then I kind of fixed it and like hired my replacement, and then took a role that I think we called director of growth. I'm going to be honest, I don't really remember. It was like, I think it was team development and director of growth because I like grew the team. I don't even remember the title of it.
So that actually is like an even better example than what I was thinking, because you started in real estate with a real estate license. And I don't think anybody that wakes up and goes, I'm going to get my real estate license, has any clue the different paths that are going to present themselves in real estate. So when you were showing up to get your real estate license, did you think to yourself, eventually I'm going to work with a team and I'm going to help them with their systems?
No. In fact, I distinctly remember after I got my license, I went to a class at my market center and I sat in the back and cried because I didn't know what escrow was and everybody kept talking about it. So like, if you would have told me that I was going to be on one of the top teams in our company, like running operations and growing the team, absolutely not. There's just no, like those lines didn't connect for me at all.
Totally. And I think a lot of people don't understand like that you can be in real estate. And obviously, if you're a productive real estate agent, you are making quite a bit of money. And a lot of people don't understand that a lot of us step away from that specific setup of just being a solo agent to these other opportunities, which often are way more stress. So what was the driving force for you that said, you know what, I'm ready to take that opportunity and move away from this setup to this?
I have a lot of FOMO. And, okay, but for me specifically, so on the DISC, if people know the DISC, the personality profile, so there's like D, I, S, and C, and I'm a high I and a high C, which is not very common because they're very conflicting. So I's are like the outgoing, extroverted, like really, they love people, they love excitement, all of the fun things. High C's are the detailed people, like your engineers. They're perfectionists. They want everything to be like just so, and they love systems. So I am both of those things, and I am like, I want to do all of the things right away, immediately, perfectly. And so I had been an agent, which satisfies a lot of the high I, because you're constantly in front of people, talking to people. Like people say they hate cold calling. I'm like, oh my gosh, I can pick up the phone and make 20 new friends let's go. And so I had kind of done that, but then operations and admin type work like grounds me a little bit. And so when I took over like the listing operations, it was all systems. And then I sprinkled in a couple things like following up with clients. So I still got people. And so for me, it was like, oh my gosh, there's another opportunity out here that I would probably love and is right in my skill set and I'm not doing it. Yeah, let me go explore that. So I did. I grew a lot. And then it turned into the role that I took for a while, because then that married the two, right? Like, so director of growth, I was going out and finding people, meeting people, getting to know them, solving their problems, and then going through the process of like plugging them into the team and growing their business and helping them formulate those plans to be successful. And so it was kind of like a trial and error process of where do you fit in this puzzle best? Like a lot of things, you can do a lot of things. What completes you?
Was it like peace of mind that motivated that change? Was it financial motivation? Like, was it like somebody presented an opportunity and you were like, oh, that sounds like more fun, so I'm going to go this direction?
Excitement and opportunity, probably for me both. I'm very like, oh yeah, that sounds great. Sounds fun and exciting. I don't know that it was like a financial move necessarily. Obviously there was tons of potential there for it, but like, I'm just not a super financially motivated, like that sounds wrong, but like, unless we're talking about like you can do something similar that you still love for like tens of millions of dollars more, I'm probably going to be like, well, I love what I'm doing. So I think for me also, like getting into real estate and just being surrounded by entrepreneurs, I realized very quickly how unaware I was of all the opportunity that was out there. And so when new opportunities were presented to me, it wasn't that I wasn't loyal to the ones I had. Like I was still with my Rainmaker, but I was like, this is cool. I never knew anything like this existed. Maybe I'll love this. And I just had no idea, because I had been told my whole life, you get your 9 to 5, you save for retirement, you hope to retire one day, you know? And so I was like, you mean there's all this cool stuff I could do and make like however much money I want? Yeah, let's try it out. And then I was fortunate enough to be with a leader who was really good at knowing people. And like, she observed how I operated. We worked very closely together. And the operations one, you know, she was like, I know that you can do this. Like your files are always perfect. You get really excited about doing this stuff. Like, do you want to explore this, see what it's like? And then the tables turned for the director of growth. I actually went to her with a job description and was like, hey, I want to do this. And she just said, awesome, go do it.
Yeah, that's crazy. I don't think there's a lot of people have ever realized that if you're not in an industry similar to like this entrepreneurial world, the idea that this happens quite often where people show up with a job description they've written to somebody that they know they work well with and gone, give me this job that I just wrote for myself. Like that probably blows a lot of people's minds, but it is not unheard of.
I've done it like 4 times, I think now. Just been like, hey, this is what I want to do. You want to pay me for it? I'm kidding. There's a lot more discussion. Like I know I'll bring people money or value, but
so true. And then, so now we're not caught all the way up. This is still very early in the opportunities Katie has had, but let's catch up with where Biz was, because lending world is so much more complicated than people realize in the differences of opportunities. And like, there's like, you would think, oh, you just have your lending license. Anyone will take you, but it's not like that. Like you have to prove yourself pretty hard. So what was your first position that got you in the lending door?
You know, I have a wild story of how I got in there. And like, we were just talking about like opportunities kind of in general. I just realized like, I have such a different perspective because I just like recently like got into where I can call myself and I can self-identify as an entrepreneur, because until I switched over into the brokering world, I was really more in corporate America. And having to forge my way through all of those politics and kind of fought tooth and nail to be able to build my own table that I'm at now, you know? So like, it's interesting when you're talking about opportunities, because I feel like I just go out and seek what I want and really kind of manifest that whole, like the opportunities are all out there. It's just a matter of which one I want to grab onto. And
Yeah.
I've really had that mentality for a long time. And I didn't realize it until we started talking about this. And that's where I get lost, is it's really just this goal setting piece of it for me. It's like not knowing where I'm wanting to go. And figuring all of that stuff out. And so like where you talk about opportunities, for me, if anything, it's like hard for me to let go of one that I should be, because I fear change and feeling different. So like that's where like I like with all those topics that you were calling out, like that's really the thing for me. But I mean, the best, and I guess it starts with the career change, kind of to go back to your original question. I created that opportunity because I knew someone in my Rolodex that was a lender, and I asked him to go out to lunch with me and did like the really dramatic, like the whole lunch. We didn't talk about lending at freaking all. And then I did the really dramatic, wait, like, no, there was a point to this. Like, I want to do what you do. Like, how do I do what you do? And they showed me the classes and I signed up. So, I mean, like, it was like I created my own opportunity because I just literally needed them to tell me which direction to run in. And then I just started running. So, yeah.
So that's really interesting. Two things. One, you're like, well, there's all these opportunities out there, and I just need to be able to pick which one I want to grab onto. And I just want to quickly, on an aside, say all those opportunities are there because of how badass you are. They don't just float around for everybody. So truly just acknowledging that for a second.
Well, I disagree with that because I think it is I think it's a way of framing, because the opportunities that I'm presented with today are obviously different than the opportunities I was presented with 10 years ago, right? Whenever I started my career. But that's also why I'm at this point, because it's kind of like running out of road, right? Like, you know, the whole millennial dream of get married, buy a house, have a kid, like graduate high school, go to college, get a good degree, get a, you know, good job with that degree. And like the corporate America you're talking about, right? And I fell into that trap for a long time until I ran out of road. And that's where, like I was saying, like my struggle is when I go to run out of road, like where you don't know what you're going after, what opportunities you're looking for. Because it still goes back to the rooms that you're in, you know, like the rooms that I was in 10 years ago presented the opportunities that got me where I am today for the opportunities I have now.
So you're saying like almost the affirmation. I know Katie's a big proponent of this one, but opportunities flow to me in abundance, like reframing that mindset to always feel like there's more opportunity out there than you maybe realize at the surface.
We go, Moana. There's more beyond the reef.
More beyond the reef.
I freaking love Moana soundtrack. Yeah.
Well, if you would like to come over, my 3-year-old will sing it for you. Literally nonstop.
2 a.m.
2 a.m.
Yeah, I wish you would have recorded that, Katie. I would love to see it.
There will be plenty of opportunities.
But yeah, I really think that's, but it was even before I knew the affirmation, because I hadn't gone through bold and I hadn't done all that stuff yet. But I think it was just kind of dumb, like youthful optimism, like just no fear of like, I can do whatever I want. Want me? You know?
I think there's an important distinction too, because like you called it a trap, which in some ways it can be, but I don't want people who maybe did follow, like graduate high school, go to college, get a degree, work their job, like they're not doing something wrong. You know, like it's not a negative thing.
It's just not for everyone, and they missed the mark on that when you were in school.
Yeah, I think the issue is that everybody gets funneled into one path, which isn't for everyone. And I think the distinct difference, and this is what happened in my brain, was I was used to people awarding me opportunities, right? Like I did well at my job, so I got a promotion or I got more opportunity or whatever, versus figuring out what I want to do and looking for opportunities or seeking out opportunities or making my own opportunities, you know? And so I think it's just like it's a shift in your mindset, but there's nothing wrong with either way.
Yeah, for
And
me,
I
was
would challenge people who are in like corporate America, like you can still seek out opportunities, even if your job is rigid with like what they offer.
Yeah.
You know, there's always additional opportunity if you want it.
For sure.
Well, yeah, like I said, I mean, I was in corporate America for 9 of my 10 years, right? And so like the shift in the opportunity to change careers was going from one corporate environment to another with that. And then the motivation for me, point blank, was financial. I'll never forget what it was like sitting in that class when I finally did the mental math that I could make 10 grand a month. I thought Jonathan and I were going to fucking Europe every single quarter once I realized that was like what was going on. We can get a new roof in 30 days, whatever. Like that it was definitely financial for me with it. And so like I was always, so to me, like when I talk about being trapped in that, to me, I frame it as a trap because I could not have unlocked the financial opportunities had I stayed in the course of graduating college in 2009 with my liberal arts degree in the corporate America that I was doing. So like it really kind of got to a point where my back was against the wall of like having to make a decision with myself on if I wanted to have the life that I knew was out there, because I had gotten to travel, that I, had to find opportunities to grab bootstraps. So like those opportunities, to Katie's point, are, everywhere. And, we talk about investing and passive income opportunities and stuff like that, and syndications amongst each other. I mean, like, I think that's a little bit of a lot for us to record, but I mean, we talk about those opportunities amongst each other and hold each other accountable to that as well. And I love that. I love that. So yeah, it's just more, I say trap because I feel like it locked me in from getting what I really wanted. And once I realized that I could pursue what I wanted, I've chased that wholeheartedly.
Yeah.
And even through corporate America. So like you can do it too. You don't have to be an entrepreneur.
Oh, for sure. But you have to change the conversations and the rooms you're in.
Yeah. Katie's
like,
really good at that. Like you're really great with those questions. And I love that. We were having a conversation before about ownership and things. And I really like the way that you were like owning the questions that you ask, like with people. Like I thought that was really cool. It was a really unique perspective, because I was owning like my answers and making sure that I had good answers. And you were owning the question, the responsibility of the question.
The person who asks the questions controls the conversation. And so if you're asking questions, I'm not saying manipulate them to get a specific answer, but the burden does not rest on the person answering to supply the information that you want. It's on you to ask it in the right way and ask the right questions. And that's like knowing your audience or understanding what you're asking and being concise or speaking to them how they need to be spoken to and guiding the conversation in the way that it should go.
Yeah. So like, if you had an opportunity that you wanted to pursue in a room, like with people, like what would a question, like, I don't want to put you on the spot, but like you have like really great questions at the same time. Like if you were at like a networking event or something, like Ashleigh and I were just at a lot, what would be a good question that you would ask?
I mean, it depends on the opportunity, but I'd probably go in asking, like, I'd identify a couple potential problem points that I had and ask like who had gone through that or who has mastered that. And then I like to ask people what they are currently struggling with, because it shows me windows of opportunity that I can either connect them with somebody else or something that I can implement into whatever I'm building, because it's what people need.
Cool.
Interesting.
Thank you for that.
Yeah. So it's interesting talking about all of the ways we found opportunities, but the flip side of that is that both of you in this conversation walked into some really killer opportunities. And by all means, a lot of people would have stopped there and, just kind of done like the little bit of growth here and there, but kind of stayed in that level. So what is it that makes you realize this opportunity, it's time to let it go? Or have you always had to have like the universe usually has to tell me that it's time to let an opportunity go, because I just won't let it go once I have it until, I really see the signs.
Okay, but I want to hear about that, because you also have had really cool opportunities that you have walked away from.
Yeah. One of the things I struggle with is letting myself want something, because once you want it, it sucks so much more if you don't get it.
Yeah.
So I have a hard time with that. And I know we've mentioned it on the podcast before. Like, I don't think so much, I just do. And so it's usually like, well, what's the worst case scenario? Like, I've got this opportunity to go work at this company or whatever it is, and I can go do that for 30 days, 60 days, whatever it is. And if it doesn't work out, what has it cost me?
Mm-hmm.
So that's a lot of the way I frame how I take the opportunity.
I like that.
And yeah, a lot of the times I walk away from the opportunity like, that was shit, to be honest. I'll go ahead and tell myself that I learned a lot, but I learned a lot of like what not to do.
Important lessons also.
And that is almost like the way the universe has always told me, like, walk away from this opportunity, is where you just boil over to the point of like, why would you be a leader and treat your people this way?
Yeah.
That's crazy to me. To do all the work of creating an organization and all these people trust you to lead them, and you treat them this way. That's clinically insane.
Yeah.
It's male behavior. I'm just kidding.
Or is it when you do a Secret Santa and the person really hates your gift and it was an awesome gift and it's time to go?
Dude, that was so insane. Like, okay, we never talked about this on here, and Biz, you know about it, right?
You talked about it.
I talked about it in our chat.
Yeah.
We did I was told I'm like brand new at this company, and I'm told we're doing a Secret Santa or a white elephant. We're doing a white elephant. Please like message us and tell me, when you hear white elephant, what kind of gift do you think? Are you thinking this is a very serious gift? This is a funny gift? This is supposed to be like a trashy gift? Keep in mind, it's a $25 limit. Okay. So here's what we get. We get a pair of Oreo socks from a sock exchange that I went to. And I was like, how funny would it be to add these socks to a pile of all the different flavors of Oreos? Because like, that's a ridiculous gift to get. And to me, white elephant is supposed to be like, this is useless and hilarious.
It's funny.
It's supposed to be funny. So the person that gets my gift, it's anonymous, obviously. And she's doing the whole thing, like if you've ever seen The Office, where Michael gets gloves and he doesn't want them. So he's being so obvious about it the whole time. He's like, oh, does anybody want to steal? Anybody want to steal? And then we go into the office the Monday after, and she comes up to a desk next to mine to start loudly complaining about how she got the worst white elephant gift of anybody there, and that she wants to know who gave it because it was such a stupid gift and blah, 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 blah. And I don't even eat Oreos. And the girl she was complaining to was like, just bring the Oreos in. I'll eat them. She never brought the Oreos in. So
maybe she should eat an Oreo. She would be happier.
Or she did eat all of the Oreos in her shame at night.
And she just wanted to complain about it. So yeah, that was literally like probably the week before. I was like,
this opportunity sucks.
Opportunity was wrong. I was so off base here.
Like, I do not belong here.
Kind of like walk backwards through the door you just walked through.
Yeah, I really struggle with knowing when an opportunity isn't right for me anymore. I do, because like I am so fucking passionate about everything that I do. I'm like, I'm going down with the ship, and so like, and I think that also might be part of the reason why I got trapped in so much funk, like leading up to making the move to brokering. Is like, I eventually, like, the pain of it gets so bad that like I have to go off the ledge and see what's out there in the great unknown. And like, truthfully, that's where it is for me. But then again, like it ropes back to knowing what I want, because like if I know what I want, then I'm always looking for it, and I never have to say goodbye to anything. I just like stepped forward. And that's what was really interesting in listening to Katie's kind of trajectory in the beginning, or transition through things, is that it sounds very fluid. Like, because you were here, you spoke up, and this was like created. And like in your job history, you know, in real estate, like you've had a lot of opportunities created around like who you are. And that is amazing. I mean, I think that's like all about entrepreneurship with that like you can create your own opportunities, but like they're also still out there. If you know what you're looking for, or you can know what rooms to walk into and like search, because like just a Facebook group or something.
Yeah. I think for me, like I'm a little bit of that biz where like I'll get really loyal to an opportunity, or like, especially if it's something I've helped build, you know, it's like, I'm so proud of it, or I'm so bought into it or whatever. But me, the broken record, it's like all about my mission. And so like, if things have changed and it no longer aligns with my mission, like I had one that most people would consider an opportunity of a lifetime. And the reality of it was like, I was working at home with my son, but never spent time with him because I was behind my computer the entire time. And then I would like put him to bed and then go back to work and never spend quality time with my husband. And it wasn't a temporary, like, this will get better kind of thing. You know, it wasn't, we're laying the foundation and this is, you know, it's like all in for a little bit. That was the norm. And I mean, to be quite frank, like the financial reward for it wasn't nearly enough to compensate for like even a short period of time. And so for me, like in my mission and my values, it didn't align because I do things for money to build a life and legacy for my family. And if I don't actually get to enjoy them, and like, I understand, like it takes work and you have to work and you have to spend time doing that. And also like, you know, Connor deserves a mom who can like actually spend time with him, you know? So I think for me, it's a lot about missions. And then there's also a component of it. Like I said, I have FOMO. I like to do a lot of things. And so I'm usually working on several things at once. I don't think I've ever just had one job since entering real estate. And some of them aren't a financial thing, but they're fun. And I love to do them because they are fun and there's no like quote unquote job description, but they're good opportunities or good things to be affiliated with. Yeah. But then at that point, like if it's not
I said, or they just put you in a room with people that you're like, I just want to be around that person.
Yeah. And if it's not fun or it's not like, I don't know, then, you know, it's like it's taking up too much brain space and taking away from what other things, like, I mean, and like that's what I'm dealing. And that's what I'm dealing with right now, where you feel like you finally realize how unappreciated and taken advantage of you are. It's not fun anymore. And so then then I start doing what's the payout? What is this getting me? Is it worth it?
That's a great part of talking about opportunities, because I know that they talk about the generational differences in the workplace, and millennials really, really appreciate being appreciated, whether that's through words of affirmation or, you know, awards or recognition. Like workplaces have to step up and do better about that. And it's weird because you also, even though we're the generation that we're given participation trophies, I do not like to speak up and say I feel underappreciated.
No,
for what I've
because I don't want it to be. I don't want it to be fake. I don't want you to tell me because I told you. I want you to truly appreciate it and feel compelled to voice that.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it.
And they're like, gosh, not to like. I don't want to sound egotistical when I say this, but your timing, Ashleigh, and I'm probably going to cry again. I was having such a terrible day last week, and I felt unappreciated to a level that I have almost never felt before in my life, and so unwanted by people who I had, again, not trying to toot my own horn, truly built it. And I had cried multiple times, and I was, you know, and of course, like everybody's in Vegas at this conference. I'm home alone, sick with Connor, just like crying all day. And I can't like call anybody. And Ashleigh sends me this voice memo. And she's like, hey, this guy who's great, I don't want to give away any secrets, wants us to speak at his conference next year. And I was like, why am I crying trying to like do backflips and put on a show for these people to say like thank you when there are other people who want me? You know, like, why am I shutting out opportunity or not giving that opportunity the same? And I mean, I think it's because like I built like my whole heart and soul went into this. And so it's just like really painful. And it was such a good like snap into reality of like, oh, I am wanted and people do see the value and I am appreciated. Maybe I'm just looking in the wrong spot.
Yeah.
You know,
are appreciated. But it's really hard because like Biz was saying, it's a passion project.
Yeah.
And you're doing it not because you didn't set out and say, I want recognition, so I'm going to go do this.
Right.
But it's like so hard when it gets so out of alignment of like, I've done all this and I can't even get the time of day from the people I'm trying to help.
Right. And it's truly trying to help. And I think that also like, you know, I was telling somebody else about it who wasn't there because I was like, I'm just like really struggling. And he shared a story with me, and this isn't a passion project story, but an agent at his office who was one of like in the top 3 agents in his office recently left and went to a different one. And he said the reason that he left is because the other office acted like they wanted him.
Ooh.
It's like, yeah, man. Yeah, it's real. And like, I'm not saying I have to be handheld all the time, but like, you know, if like I am at the point in my life where I understand that my time and my energy is super valuable. And if it's not valuable to other people, it's valuable to me and it's valuable to my son and husband. And so why try to do backflips and spend that on people who don't want it?
Yeah.
Or they want it like I mean, I know
to reap the benefit.
They want to reap the benefit. Yeah. Like I told you, you know, it probably wouldn't be so painful if I didn't also hear like Katie never asks for recognition. And so it's easier to give it to somebody who would like not be upset by not getting it. She'll still show up because she always shows up the same way. Okay. Well, maybe I won't.
Maybe I won't then.
Maybe I'll show up somewhere else.
How about you? Because I know you just won an award for your year of production.
Girl, that was a whole 34 days ago.
34, I know. Man, we're almost Q1 is almost over. It's insane.
That's wild.
But so you get this award at the end of the year. Do you ever struggle with feeling underappreciated in your line of work or in your passion projects?
I have a follow-up question to that, especially for your work, Biz. Do you feel that awards are begrudgingly given to you because you are in such a male, like they don't want to recognize that you're a female doing all this awesome stuff? Because like we celebrate obviously your accomplishments, but also that you are like this badass woman in a male dominated field who is kicking ass and taking names. Do you feel like they really appreciate it, or they're like, well, the numbers say we have to give you this? You little disruptor, you.
I don't know. I don't think I honestly understood the magnitude of that accomplishment until Ashleigh phrased it in the way of leaving as number 1 and then ending my first year at the new place I went to as number 1. Like it really didn't even sink in to something because I diminished it so quickly because I also didn't know I was getting it. And so that was surprising. But it like, I just instantly diminished it. And so it wasn't until Ashleigh said that I feel like it's something really to stand on. But yeah, I mean, what was the question? Sorry about like men in general. So like, I mean, yes and no, it doesn't bother me anymore because I just have like such blinders up about that stuff. And I have such an incredible tribe of women lenders that really support me that's like the only people I talk to. And so it's kind of jarring to hear you like ask that question. It's like a pattern interrupt, like you said, because it's like not even really on my radar, because I've built such a fortitude around myself that it doesn't bother me. I also haven't been to a mortgage conference in years because it's not my cup of tea.
Yeah.
And I will also say that my shame Louis Vuitton shoes say walk a mile in my shoes down the side of them. And I do bust those out every chance I get around hellos. Like, it's like the only time I ever wear those shoes. It's like just so I want one of them to read it and be like, you have no idea what bought these shoes, motherfucker. So yeah, I mean, like, I guess on like a personal, like deep down level, a little bit of me still, you know, feels that way, but it's not in the forefront of my mind at all with it. But yeah, I forgot why you were asking about that though. Like why
Just
you
like
brought that
the general idea of, do you ever feel underappreciated?
Oh, I mean, no, because hold on. Do I feel underappreciated by others? No.
Ooh.
Because I keep my inner circle so small that I have literally like hired my friends. And so I know that my self-worth isn't tied to my net worth, or my worth to them isn't tied to that. And so they're my like little safe cocoon. And it's so strong that I don't look outside it now for gratification. So by others, no, but by myself, yes.
Oh,
I put myself through that a lot of times. And that's, again, going back through like really, you know, waddling and like where I can drown myself. And it's like, okay, Ashleigh, you and I, just as a perfect time to bring this up, but like you and I just talked about, we were at a convention and Mel Robbins spoke, and she gave us the tool of her 5-second rule, which is counting out loud from 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, just do it. And the premise is that we all know what to do, we just don't do it. And so if you flip yourself from like your subconscious brain to your active thinking brain, it makes it easier. But like the really cool thing that she showed me was that the longer you sit in indecision, the harder it becomes to make a decision. And that's where like I really like will paralyze myself in it. So I don't see these accolades in the light that maybe I should immediately, because the opportunities again are all just like my opportunities, and which really is just goals going back to. So I really worked hard. I mean, real talk, I made the Scotsman's Guide list in 2021, which was arguably a very difficult year to do it because there was so much business and so many people. So the Scotsman's Guide is the top 1% of lenders in the entire freaking country. And it's been going on for decades, and it's what we all shoot for. And I made it in 2021 when everybody was having killer years. And like, I thought it was going to give me some huge piece, you know, like sense of accomplishment, like check mark, whatever. I bought myself the fucking plaque, like everything. I couldn't even tell you where it is right now. And that was also the year that I realized that I worked myself so hard that like my kid didn't see me at all. And it was like COVID when we were home the whole time. And so like to Katie's point, you know, opportunities and whatnot, when the value layering, to bring that up again, like you recognize that your value layer changes. And so you start changing, you know, what you're talking about and what you want. And, you know, I'm just so grateful, like sidebar, I'm just so grateful for our friendship, and that we can collectively hold each other accountable to becoming these women that we all want to be. And it's really like from some of those traumas that our friendship was founded, years that we're talking about, you know, I mean, like we were around when Katie was pregnant, you know, like, and we talk about all of this stuff. And so like these dark times in our lives and these opportunities that we either created or gripped onto or saw, you know, like each of us has kind of helped each other through it. and sometimes it's like Katie's strength in her like bravery and courage to stand up for her values for her kid. I mean, like, I'm freaking the fuck out right now at the fact that I'm not working as much as I was. And I'm like, this is what you wanted, Biz. And it's like, okay, but like, it's so uncomfortable, you know? So, you know, it's just, yeah, like, I love you guys. Like, sorry for the sidebar there, but
No, great.
with it. But yeah, so whatever opportunities, they exist. I got off track.
They exist in abundance. And recognizing the right ones. I mean, I would argue that there is no right opportunity.
Yeah.
I mean, how many people do you think graduated high school, had an opportunity, started that opportunity, and then stayed right there until they died?
So few. It's so few.
few.
And how many were happy doing it?
That. Like, I'm so glad we're talking about that. And I hope more people, like general public out there, talk about it. Like, it needs to be talked about more in general. Because like a lot of it is just changing your mind. And so many of us, like us in general, get in the quote unquote trap of like, oh, these are the choices I made. So this is my bed. I have to lie in it. And it's like, no, like, get out the other side of the bed. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Just do something
5, 4,
different.
3, 2, 1. You know? I love that. The whole Mel Robbins speech was, she was a great speaker. I loved her. If you've never been exposed to Mel Robbins, I would recommend going and watching like her TED Talk that she said was a 21-minute long panic attack. Like, relatable. She's got a great podcast. She's got tons of stuff out there and books and everything. But really, it just boils down to the psychology of counting down from 5 and then just immediately moving. Like, even if it's just like taking a step or like, oh, I know I need to make my phone calls today and I don't want to. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, pick your phone up. And then you might need to like hack it again. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, hit my, you know, my keypad to dial, and like forcing yourself to do things. But yeah, just to reinforce what Biz was saying about that was, out of everything at a 5-day convention.
It was long. I don't even know. We were in Vegas. Like, what even time is it? Like, dude,
yeah,
that was my first time there, which I know might be surprising, but it was my first time there, and I could not believe how far and close everything was at the same time. Like, it's something about that desert air, man. I swear.
Air. Yeah, I kept telling Brad, I was like, well, you're staying at the hotel next to the convention, but don't think that means you're just gonna like hop over there. It's like a mile to get out of your hotel. Like,
yes,
best of luck.
We would be like, we need to be somewhere in an hour, so we should probably leave in 30 minutes. And it's like the hotel attached to our hotel.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, Katie, did we tell you one time Biz and I were leaving to go to the New York hotel from the Luxor? And they have a little tram that takes you closer to it.
So hold on. Wait. We get on the tram. We're like an hour and we're like, okay, we need to leave 30 minutes before. So we start leaving and we start walking. We get on the tram and we start walking. Then we're like, well, there's not going to be food. So we need to like stop and grab something we can eat on the way. So there was like a 20-minute pit stop where she got like shit Chinese food and I got shit $20. Popeyes for $25 a piece. And we're like, well, we might as well sit and eat it. And then we get up and like, all right, we got to book it because we're so far behind. And keep going, Ashleigh. So we had the pit stop of the food because that was
of the food. But I still had noodles to eat, so we're like booking it, and I'm eating noodles. And we're walking through this hotel, and of course you can't tell where you are. And we find this little walkway that we're like, that's it. That probably takes us to the hotel we need to go to New York, New York. So we walk ourselves through. They're all happy with ourselves, and it spits us out in the Luxor.
No,
we got on one of those escalators, so it was like this slow movement of shame, right back to our hotel, and not just our hotel, but specifically right by our elevator for our hotel room. So we like took a 45-minute joy walk to get Popeyes and Chinese to eat
no closer to where we were supposed to be.
It was so funny.
It was so funny.
Yeah, fuck Vegas.
So yeah, Vegas was Vegas. But Mel Robbins was great. So you guys steal that. Go listen to Mel Robbins. That one was a really good one.
Yeah, I'm definitely keeping it in my tool belt for later to pull out. Like I was saying before, like I love that about us is that like anytime we go into a vent session or something, it's always like, okay, do you need solutions or support? Like one. And then it's like, if it's support, like you vent and you're there, but then like solutions, like all of us have these like hive mind to pull from. I love that.
Yeah.
I love that we get to do those things together, even when it's not all three of us, you know?
Yeah. I mean, it's interesting because like, it's, you know, like, so I just lost out on an opportunity that I was super excited about. I had like 5 job interviews over almost 3 months since I
That was
first
a long
applied.
process. Yeah.
Really long process. And, you know, I'd made it to where I was being told, like, you're in the top 4, you're a really strong candidate. And then I was literally sitting next to Biz and she goes, oh no, I don't want to tell you this. And she saw something on Facebook that gave away that I was no longer in consideration. And it was like I literally laughed. It's like, you know, it's one of those things you're like, I have to accept that the universe has decided that that was not the path I was supposed to be traveling. But man, it was hard. And then I texted Katie and she's like, are you okay? And I was like, I don't know. I don't know. I think it'll take me a little while to process. Like, you know, those opportunities, like I said, where like you walk away from it like, holy crap, that was a shit show. I'm so glad to be free of it.
Yeah.
That is so much easier than,
yeah.
Damn, that would have been a good opportunity.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and it's so hard too, I think, when you, and I know you touched on this, you allow yourself to get excited. And when you can see like all the ways that you fit and you like, I have a really bad moment and I catch myself every single time that I start to imagine myself and like visualize myself doing it or like being in it. And then I'm like, Katie, don't go down this road. Like it's going to hurt so bad if you, and I've gotten much better about like, truthfully going through, Keller Williams has something called the KPA, and going through that process really, really helped me because it taught me to interview people as hard as they're interviewing me, and really like coming to peace with the fact that if an opportunity doesn't pan out, that like something wasn't aligned truly, and that's great. And I'll just cheer the other person on who got it, whatever. And once I cross that bridge of like visualizing myself there, it's like, it is really painful. And so when you texted me that, I was like, oh no, are you okay? Because I've already accepted in my head that the role is yours. And like that I've already planned out your next year. I had like cute stuff in my Amazon cart to send you. Like I had all that. I was like, this is totally Ashleigh. It's like, she's got it. It's so great.
I think there's really something to be said about that though, Katie, because like I'm reading this Exactly What to Say book right now. And like talks about visualizing it and how important that is at like pursuing it and doing. And like I don't sit and visualize stuff, and that might be part of my paralysis too.
Well,
is I always think about all of the ways it could go wrong, and I plan for that, but I don't really think about all the ways it can go right. But that also kind of like, I think that stifles me from chasing some opportunities. Like I like, you just hit a huge eureka moment for me.
Well,
like,
be careful with that, because every time I visualize myself getting a role or an award or anything, it so far 0 times has it panned out. So be careful with that.
That's really interesting, because I also,
like, do you think it helped lead you to where you are though?
No.
Okay.
I think there's probably a difference between visualizing like your ultimate goals, like visualizing what it would be like to own a 300 unit apartment building and the financial freedom that would come with that cash flow.
Yeah.
That to me is different because I have control over that.
You have control over that. Yeah.
Versus that, like, yes, somebody does have to choose to give me this very specific role. Like, this is not a role that's replicable. Yeah. Like I can't think of a single company that this would be at. And maybe that's just my limited, like, I don't know enough companies.
Right. So,
so real vulnerable moment. I have been the type of person in my past that has been like, that's a really cool opportunity. How do I grow into the person that gets that opportunity? and taking that to going and becoming. And I just like realize that like when we're talking, I think that's part of this transition that I'm going through is like this corporate into this entrepreneur mindset, because in the corporate world, the opportunities are predetermined, right? Like you can only go to from
After
A
this,
to B
you
to
do
C,
this. Mhm.
you know, or any type of meandering outside of that, like lowercase a is, you know, difficult. And so that's really, I don't know, it's just a really cool moment there with that. Like, and like, is that the fact that we're even able, like, have the is it a privilege? Is it a privilege that, you know, we haven't lucked into it? We know from Diana, right? So is it a privilege that we have the ability to choose that, or do we like create those opportunities because you seize them?
So
You know?
I think like you have to build it up, because that was one of my hardest things coming from corporate America into real estate and being an entrepreneur. I didn't even know how to want or imagine anything more than like, okay, I join a company, I see the full outline, I see where I can go. I maybe like try to make some things better or whatever, but like I can make my plan of how I climb this ladder and I know that I can accomplish it. And then stepping into a world where it's like, I so distinctly remember being at an event and Kaleo Kina telling me all of the things that he was working on, and I understood like half of the words. And it was so intimidating and also exciting, because I was like, I don't even know what's possible or know what to build. And I get to figure out how to build it and figure out what I want. But I didn't know how to know what I wanted, because I was told what I was allowed to want. You know, and so it was such a journey of building, and I mean it still is, but to your point, Ashleigh, I think
I
it's
was
like
doing that though, like navigating the corporate while still building my life, like with it. So like I think it's possible to do in it. It's just very difficult because, and like that's where like passive income has to come in too. Because, and like where we were talking about like the bigger picture of Gen Z and millennials, that like sidebar conversation, guys. This is before we were yeah, but the I don't know, some of the financial stuff, I also feel like the pressure as a millennial in general, that there is no way that I would be able to build an independent wealth for my one child if I would not have made what are some drastic decisions, what some people would consider drastic career changes. And like sometimes, I don't know, I feel like that again, it's like me like being pushed off a cliff, like having to choose, like this is what you do or you don't want with each of it. But I don't think you necessarily have to go into entrepreneurship, but entrepreneurship is a really easy way to do it at any point in your life, right? Because like you don't have to have the degrees and whatnot necessarily to do it and to create opportunities.
Yeah.
It's just,
Interesting. Yeah, opportunities are an interesting conversation. It's like the dichotomy of extreme hope and extreme despair and frustration and excitement. And like, you know, I almost think of it like relationships. Like opportunities are the relationships of your life. You know, like some of them are going to end and you just know you weren't meant for each other, and that's okay. And you have the great memories and you each learned something from it. And then you have the ones that you're like, that rat bastard. Like, wish I never had that opportunity. Like that's almost how I think of it. So it's really, it's a really interesting conversation of growth. And I bet even like whether you're in entrepreneurship now or not, if you look back through and actually thought about your career and your personal growth, you'd see a lot of these similar patterns of opportunities. And maybe if like you put that in your forefront and say, you know, I'm happy with my career and I want more opportunities for passive income or for investing or for learning. Like if you start to put that in your forefront of your mind, you'll start to find those opportunities.
Yeah. If anybody hasn't read the book, The Alchemist, highly recommend, like for that reason, and getting you all aligned on like what life can bring you and what you can go after.
That's a great recommendation. Yeah. I mean, even if, like I said, even if you're super happy with where you are now,
Yeah.
it doesn't mean that opportunity will fit you any longer 5 years from now. And I think it's a really interesting conversation on the corporate side is think about when we were in college, if you were getting a degree in anything that wasn't like business or tech, they were telling you you were making the biggest mistake of your life.
Yeah.
And that tech jobs were the future. And now we're millennials sitting there watching so many of our friends go through some of the most massive layoffs in recent history and going, you know, on my LinkedIn, my friends are constantly like, I've been unemployed for 12 months.
Yep.
And you're like, that's crazy because you did all the things everyone was telling you to do. So I think it's really important to just have yourself like braced to be looking for opportunities and knowing how you want to decide, does this align with my mission? Does this align with my values? If you don't have a mission statement for your life, you should build one. It's really important to helping your compass gauge what direction to be running down. You know, if you're like me, you just kind of run. And then you go, that hallway ended. I had to turn around and run the other way. Or I got off the tram and came back right where I started. So this has been a really interesting conversation. I appreciate you guys being vulnerable and open with that trajectory of how you got started in your careers. And I hope it was helpful to people listening. So tune in next week. We will have more amazing conversation for you guys. Don't forget to rate us, give us 5 stars, help other people find us, and recommend us to a friend. I think everything's better when you have more friends. So thanks, guys, and we will see you next week.